Hey gang, it's Chris Angel coming at you. Saturday night, yep, it's another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us, and we're going to talk about leaning into the questions you have in life, even when it's inconvenient. It's an interesting thing in marketing, in business. You know, you are positioned as someone who is wanting to help other people. I mean, that's what people pay you for, is safe passage to what's next for them, right? A lot of times us in this tribe, we're a service-based business, many of us, most of us, and we have perspective that can help people get to a new place in life. And so what often happens for us is we feel like we have to be in a position of having answers in order to give people safe passage to what it is they're searching for. So when we, the guide, bump into questions, right? When we bump into our own questions, that's really inconvenient. It's inconvenient because it slows us down in implementing next steps of our business. For me, I've got some programs that I'm implementing. And in the last week or two, I picked up a book on the Enneagram, and that's been super fascinating for me. And in the exploration of the Enneagram, I still have not taken an assessment, so I don't want a definitive number at this point in time. I'm enjoying the inquiry of what my Enneagram might be. So I'm just reading through all the different types. I'm reading from a place of observing me in each of the different types. Right now I'm picking up a lot of, I can see a lot of 8 type of personalities in the Enneagram, like a type 8. I can see a lot of that in me, but that's I don't think that's how I present myself. I don't think that's how I show up in the world out there with you. I think I show up to you more as a 3 or a 4, from my heart center versus my instincts or my mind. I also see a lot of 7 and 5. So I'm seeing a lot of these different characteristics for me. And there are implications in the inquiry about how I might lead my programs, how I think what I discover might be important for you. And so there's a lot of things coming up for me right now that are inconvenient for me while I'm trying to implement my other programs. And this happens for us. When we as seekers of truth, in this tribe, we tend to be seekers of truth. We're always learning and growing and looking for what's next. And when you put together programs and you have marketing shows and agendas and things to accomplish, sometimes stepping into the gray area of the unknown and learning something new is inconvenient in the course of what you're already implementing. And so I wanted to put this together tonight because I feel like, I've said this before, but I'll say it again, like there's something about you leading from the question rather than always having to lead from an answer that's actually refreshing. Like part of when we know that you keep asking questions of life and you keep exploring what's next in life without always having an answer, but sometimes just having the question, that actually gives us permission to have our own questions. And so sometimes that's an even better place to lead from, right? Is the question, the uncertainty of it all. And that you would report back to us what it is you're learning in the inquiry, in the question of it all, is encouraging for us. Sometimes what we're looking for from you is not an answer. We're simply looking for a connection, like that you are like me, that you have questions and I have questions, and that you're being brave enough to explore your life's questions gives me courage to explore my life's questions. And so not having answers for things is inconvenient, but I don't want that to blind you from the opportunity that it is for you to explore your own questions, but also the opportunity that it is for us as you explore your own questions, right? Like there's something very human about that, and very admirable, honorable, endearing, trustworthy. When you're brave enough to share the things you're chewing on in life with us, it makes you a real person. And I think what we maybe are tired of, I'm tired of it, is everybody always having an answer for everything. Like life's just not that way. Life isn't just like, everything's tied off with a nice little bow. There are many questions in life that are messy and unanswerable. So what are you seeing in the unanswerableness of it all? I've already told you in the beginning of this episode, right, that I'm looking at the Enneagram. And for me, I see myself in at least 5 types. I see myself in 8. I see myself in 3, in 4, in 5, in 7, maybe a little bit of 1. There's this messiness to inquiry, to questioning things and trying to find answers. And that's okay. Like, I think that's actually better, because I think the world is tired of a neat little bow. I think we as the world are now waking up to the fact that there's nuance to everything. Everything is not binary, right? Everything is not this or that. And I think we're starting to get that. At least, listen, let me say it this way. If you're in this tribe, right? Then our tribe, the ones that you're seeking to serve, are not binary people. They're not either or people. If you look at like the pandemic right now, the coronavirus pandemic, some of the most vocal people are the either ors, right? It's either just a flu or it's, the end of the world. There's a lot of either or stuff, and you can see the emotion in that. But the rest of us are being quiet and not participating because we don't want to be, a martyr for the fact that it's just not that cut and dry. There's more to it than just 2 sides. There are multiple sides to this conversation. There's an economic side to this conversation. There's a health side to this conversation. There's all kinds of sides to this conversation, and that's my point. That's the messiness of the inquiry. And so when in the conversation you're here to lead, I'm not here to lead a conversation on the coronavirus, right? I'm here to lead a conversation about marketing. And you're here to lead a conversation about something that matters to you. And as you, the guide, go out into the unknown of it all, it's going to get messy, and you're not always going to have a cut and dry answer for things. And that's inconvenient. But that doesn't mean that you can't come back and share with us what you're learning and seeing, even when there's no answer attached to it. It's okay to lead us into the inquiry ourselves. If you go back, this is episode 332. If you go back and listen to 332 episodes of this show, you'll notice that there are a lot of episodes that are just questions for you. They're not answers. They're questions for you to look. What do you think about marketing? What do you think about the conversation you're here to lead? And I bring you sometimes my own question that I'm wrestling with so that you can wrestle with something similar for yourself. So not having an answer is inconvenient because I have things to do. I've got goals. I've got programs to launch. And this Enneagram conversation in the moment, in the last week or so, has me sidetracked with a lot of questions. And I think there are a lot of implications for what I'm uncovering in the Enneagram thing that actually impact you and your marketing and who you seek to serve. If the Enneagram is some kind of a indicator for why we behave the way we behave and what motivates us and what drives us, then you would want to know those things in your business so that you could be the most relevant and appropriate to the people you're trying to serve. And if you knew how to talk to them in ways that mattered to them, see, like, if I boil this down for you, there are like, in the Enneagram, there are 3 centers, right? There's the heart center, the mind center, and the instincts or gut center, right? There are 3, and then there are right? There are 9 numbers, so there's 3 per each of those centers. And if you looked at how the world operates, some people are operating from their heart center, and they're willing to die for the fact that they're right. And then there are other people who operate from the heart center, and they're willing to die for the fact that their perspective is right and everybody else is wrong. And then there are people in the gut center, right? Do you see? But it's not like that, is it? It's not like one is wrong and the others are right. And if we knew that as guides, as the ones leading the conversation, we could actually talk everybody down off the ledge and like provide validation for all the perspectives because we could speak to them. But I'm not clear enough yet in the Enneagram stuff, in the Enneagram distinctions of it all, to provide guidance on that. I'm digging, I'm looking, and I'm in the inquiry of it all. And that's what inspired this post, right? Because I'm clear that I don't have the answer yet. I think it's important. I don't have the answer yet. And the fact that I've been detoured for a week trying to investigate some of these things that feel important to me is inconvenient to my other plans. You also have plans right now. You have things you're trying to accomplish, things you're trying to implement. And there might be, like me, other interesting questions you're asking that are taking you down a road and it's inconvenient to the existing plans you already have. And sometimes how you stay relevant to your people, in a time when you feel pulled down a rabbit trail, when you feel pulled into a conversation that doesn't seem directly correlated to what you have already been doing, the best way to pull that back around to be relevant is to simply bring the question you're entertaining to your people. Like I'm doing tonight. I'm just basically saying to you, like, I have this question, it's taking me off track, and I think it's important for you and for me, and I don't have any answers for you yet. But that doesn't stop me from connecting with you. That doesn't stop me from having a conversation with you and foreshadowing the impact it might have on your marketing or your leadership or your programs. So, here's let's end with this, gang. I guess ultimately what I want you to know about marketing is, one, you don't have to have all the answers. That should be like a huge sigh of relief. You as a marketer, you as a business person, you as a leader, do not have to have all the answers. And from that, what we actually appreciate about you is that you could bring us the question and tell us what you're wrestling with so that we could appreciate someone who gets the nuance of life and that everything isn't binary, everything isn't this or that there is nuance to life. Please, God, bring me somebody who gets that there is more than a yes or no, right or wrong conversation to the world events or the conversation that you're leading. I think that's part of our role. I think part of our job as leaders is to bring perspective to those we seek to lead, right? To guide, that's it, right? So, as we wind down tonight, here's my invitation to you. You already have some plans, some things you're implementing, and I'm guessing that somewhere life is tapping you on the shoulder and showing you some other cool things. And you're like, oh, that's cool. I may not have time for that right now. Or that's a distraction from what I'm working on. And what I want to encourage you to do is like, look for the things that actually feel like they matter. And if they matter, go entertain them, go inquire about them, and bring us into the inquiry. Find a way as a leader to invite us into the inquiry so that we can chew on it too. You don't have to have the answer. You don't have to have already figured it out. Just invite us into it. We appreciate you for that. Thanks for hanging out with me here tonight, gang, in this episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. Until tomorrow when we go live again, here's to you diving into the inquiry. See ya.